I'm not nervous. You're nervous. This is the Arsenal Vision post-match podcast. My name is Elliot Smith. You can block me on Twitter at Yankee Gunner. And hello, everybody, and welcome to the pre-match live stream for, it says here, Arsenal versus Real Madrid in the Champions League quarterfinal. It is a huge tie with the right to face Unai Emery in this. Actually, we don't know that. Could be PSG, I guess. Big Discord debate, by the way, in terms of whether you'd rather get eliminated at this stage than play Unai Emery in the next stage. But that is a problem that I hope we have to face, quite frankly. Today, the problem is figuring out how to solve Real Madrid's Champions League hoodoo. And here to help me solve that, and we're going to look at all the lineup stuff in a moment. We're going to get your thoughts as well, is Paul. Hello, Paz.
Woo!
How are you feeling just psychologically? How are we doing?
Nervous. I'm feeling nervous.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a big challenge for us. And it's kind of like Achilles going into battle and putting like big metal stuff over where his heel is. It's a gamble because he's drawing attention to his heel, but he does have a heel. Mm-hmm. And we have a vulnerability, but everything else outside of that vulnerability, everything else looks really good.
I want to get lineup thoughts going quickly because the lineup is out. That's obviously the big news. Let's start with our lineup first because this is the Arsenal Vision pre-match live stream. And I would say there's probably no surprises. I was thinking he might choose to go with White and Timber instead of Kivior. Mikel has always been a next man up guy. He's gone next man up. And someone made a point, Paul, that I thought was an interesting one in my mentions after I said maybe he'll go with Timber and White. If you'd gone with Timber and White, you don't have a right back on the bench. And it's possible that neither Timber nor White are prepared to go 90 minutes tonight based on fitness. So it made me realize he probably can't do that. The big news is Kivior and Saka starting, of course. Marino is up front. Those are the big three, I think, talking points from our lineup. Your reaction to that?
Yes, I think that analysis is astute. It's why I thought that he had to play Kivior, even though I was praying he'd come up with some other concoction. And again, I think Kivior is a good player. I just don't think he suits us standing on the halfway line with Real Madrid's wingers and Jude Bellingham running through the middle and clever balls played through. I just don't think this is the game that brings out his best qualities, but might go for his worst qualities. So that was the thing for me. I couldn't see how he was going to play White and Timber for 90 minutes. Without any concerns. He might end up banjaxing both of them. So I don't think I was throwing the, is there another option at Kieran Tierney, which, like, I get it. I'm sure I would have ended up picking Kivior myself if I were the manager, but I was hoping for something I hadn't thought of before.
I think it is fair to point out that the left side of our defense is probably going to be the one that they go for. And that's what we would do, right? I mean, if we were on a Madrid pre-match live stream right now, we'd be saying we have to test the left side of the defense. That's going to put a lot of pressure, obviously, I think, on Rice and Martinelli to support them, which we know they can do. But it's an interesting one. And we did a Madrid viewpoint pod yesterday, really good with Keon. And, I asked him, Madrid are a very left side biased team in attack with Vinny over there. Mbappe likes to drift over there. Jude likes to drift over there. He said, yeah, but we will do the quick switch to Rodrigo and try to get Rodrigo isolated. So how do you see that left side of the defense tonight as an issue holding up against Rodrigo?
Yeah, I think that's the big problem, right? Because Miles Lewis-Skelly, super talented, great 1v1, but he needs the experience. The next player beside him needs to be super experienced because they're going to have to compensate. They're going to have to read. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him. With the super experienced defense, I'm pretty confident with Miles Lewis-Skelly. He's the guy I'd want starting, even if all fullbacks were fit. But without that, then you've got Kivior a little nervy, Miles Lewis-Skelly a little nervy, the players ahead of them a little nervy, Saliba with plenty of his problems of his own, but probably frequently haven't got to make the decision. Does he dart to their side, to their post, to cover the trouble that may come? You know, he's going to be second guessing just how much he can leave the left-hand side to those guys. Whereas with him and Gabriel, you see it a million times where one of them covers for the other. They absolutely know when they need to run in behind, kind of cross over behind the other guy because the guy's going forward to get a header. Not Kivier's strength. And even if he gets it right, Saliba's never going to be sure. He absolutely 100% knows what Gabriel's going to do in that spot. Now he's got to kind of be across 3 different positions. Yeah, that's where my nerves come from. I'm not trying to make everybody nervous, but that is.
But you're trying to make everybody nervous. Well,
look,
before we look at the Madrid lineup, can we at least focus on the positives here, which is that Bukayo Saka starts.
Yeah.
Obviously scored within 6 minutes of coming back. Then I think it's fair to say managed his way through the Everton game. And some people had thought they saw him, myself included, Tim included, holding his hamstring at times in that game. What's a realistic expectation for you from Saka tonight? Because he's going to be up against, I guess, David Alaba. That is a matchup he can exploit if he's got his A game.
Yeah. Look, we have to hope that every other part of the pitch is firing and functioning. So why not? Why shouldn't he have a really good game? For all their brilliance, Real Madrid, they always give you a look, and maybe that's the look they. You know, you're going to get chances on the attacking end because they don't think they need to like throw themselves on the on the spikes on the fences. So he's going to get a chance. He's going to have a little space from time to time. Why not? Why shouldn't he have a great game?
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of the other side, they did go with Fede Valverde instead of Vasquez. I think that's a big decision. There was talk last night that he was going to be in midfield instead of Modric, and that Vasquez would be a fullback, would be right back. And I don't think the Madridistas wanted Vasquez to be their right back. Valverde is a much more effective defender, and I think much better suited to keep Martinelli quiet. So do you think we will just focus on attacking that right-hand side, hoping that Bellingham and Vinicius Jr. aren't doing their job, helping Alaba, and see if Saka can get isolated?
Yeah, that's the side we have all the strength. If we don't focus on attacking them there, then we're going to look. You either do one of 2 things. You either go out there to keep your shape and sit back in. Well, we're not doing that. So we've got to attack them. We got to press them. And we got to have a lot of strength from the right-hand side, because the one thing that gives us is stability. It allows us to set up our rest defense and get into position. If we don't do that well, if we do that 90% instead of 100%, if we don't attack fully, if we don't press fully, if we don't lean into the right-hand side, they'll be peppering balls over the top and hitting our 2 high center backs and having the time of their lives. So that's the good thing. We can't second guess ourselves. We have to go for it. Get the energy of the crowd behind you. Yeah, that's how we get a result.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at the Madrid lineup, and I'm going to need your help with a little of this, especially in the attack, because a lot of names I've never heard of here. So let me let me do this one. Here we go. And I'll read this out. Let me get rid of the banner that's blocking it. So it's Courtois, Valverde, Asensio, Rudiger, Alaba, Modric, Camavinga, Bellingham, Rodrigo, Mbappé, and Vinicius. You'll have to. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, like this is where it gets scary. You start reading those names out, and we've got Mikel Merino at center forward, right? We got Kivior at the back. Like their back line is vulnerable, but Camavinga, Bellingham, Modric, Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Vinicius Jr. Like it's a murderer's row of sorts. I think they'd rather Tchouaméni there, and I think it is a big miss, Tchouaméni not being there. We should point out there are some big yellow card concerns on both sides tonight. Declan Rice for us is a major one, obviously. Camavinga for them, I don't think is the big one. Vinicius Jr. would be one. Rudiger another. What's your thought on their lineup? I think we can win the midfield battle, but I also wonder if Madrid are going to try to play a little bit deeper.
Look, if their lineup is intimidating and scary to us, imagine how terrified they are when they're sitting in the room and Ancelotti's calling out these big names. They must be shitting themselves too. You know, Vinicius Jr. here's Mbappe, here's Rodrigo. They're going to be nervous. So yeah, that's all I got. It's an extremely intimidating attack, but that's the trick. We're going to trap them into attacking us with all their attacking talent, and we're going to beat them down the other end. So look,
well, can I show you
this is
something
why you want to play
Okay,
Real Madrid.
Yeah, let
That's
me show
all.
you something interesting.
Yeah.
These are all of Real Madrid's results in the Champions League this season. They have played 12 times. How many clean sheets do you see on that screen?
I don't see a lot. I see one.
One.
If I'm reading it right.
One clean sheet from 12 played, and that was against Brest, who they slapped. And other than that, hey now. Stop it. Stop it.
I didn't.
They slapped Brest 3-0, but other than that, no clean sheets in this run. Stop it. And as you can see, even from the XG, like they've been conceding chances. I mean, Atalanta produced 3.3 expected goals against them. Liverpool 2.7. Milan, and this is not a good Milan side, 2.5. They tightened up a bit, but we know Atleti is not exactly an attacking juggernaut. At home, they gave nothing away, but away they lost with 1.4 XG. City, look, they absolutely battered City in some respects, but everybody's battering City. But City created some stuff against them. Defensively, they can be gotten at. Courtois is back, which is not great. But I think this is a game, and this is the key for me, Paul. This is who they are. By the way, in the league, I think they're like fifth defensively as well. So this is the key for me. We cannot play them scared. They can be gotten at. We have to be excited to attack them. And yes, you know what? We probably concede a goal tonight. Okay? I think that's fair. And we probably concede a goal or two at the Bernabeu. But we can get 2 or 3 against them. We can get the goals we need to win the tie. And it is the case that this is a Real Madrid team that our attacking players should be excited to play against. Is that the mentality you're looking at, which is this has to be an effort to go score goals against them away from home where they've been poor defensively?
It has to be. It has to be. The one thing they will give you is a team like us is a good chance we're going to have possession. There's going to be a little bit of openness. How many times have you watched them where you see periods in the game where you think they're not really clicking, they're not really firing, the passes can get a little sloppy. And then, of course, they up their game. So in those periods when they're not hot, when they're not on it, which hopefully we will see some of, we need to take full advantage. To your point, there's, you don't send them out there saying, guys, we know we're going to concede a goal. You keep that to yourself if you're the manager. But you, me, and Mikel know we got every chance of conceding a goal against these guys. With a different back lineup, I might be advocating a more pragmatic approach because we know keeping in our shape, we can keep almost anybody at bay. We don't have that option here. We don't have anything close to it. If we don't have Gabriel, so it's just not an option. We've got to do what we can in the attacking third in our midfield, and pray to God that our pressing is at the level that they get very few chances to have a wide open midfield that gets to run at our defense, which is standing near the halfway line.
Yeah. I like the comments we're getting. Do it for Anne Hathaway. For the love of God, do it for Anne Hathaway. Yeah, and look, I think there's a question of the midfield battle, Paul. I want to put this back on the screen again. I don't want to put that on the screen. I want to put this on the screen. Modric Modric is not a spring chicken. Camavinga, as we heard from the Real Madrid expert who we spoke to yesterday, loves to dive in, loves to go to ground, slide tackle guy. Jude Bellingham, I mean, look, Jude is a hero and he'll play sort of Roy of the Rovers football, but, I think, he's going to be up trying to join the attack. Do you see a potential for us to really win the midfield battle? And how much of that is going to depend now on Odegaard really hitting his best form? Because I think we have it in us to win the midfield battle, but it depends which Martin Odegaard shows up tonight.
Sure. Look, all the side, as long as he doesn't feel he needs to run all over the pitch, picking up the ball, his side of the pitch looks pretty good, right? He's got Saka, he's got Timber, who he's developing that relationship with, Saliba behind him, Partey. These guys all know each other. Do
you like that on the screen? Sorry, I had to do it. I stitched you up there. My bad.
Yeah.
Keep
Paul
going, keep
Stock
going.
falling Kivior, just
Yeah,
for
yeah,
those who are just
yeah,
listening.
yeah.
Um,
Sorry, I
yeah,
couldn't help myself.
yeah, you took me off my track here. Anyway, everybody's surrounded. The thing about Odegaard is he's miles away from Kivior, right?
Yeah, please keep going, keep going.
So he could have a really good game, right? Because just keep away from Kivior. Um, uh, I think I saw when Saka came on. A Martin Odegaard in terms of an area of play on the pitch when they got together last time out, where you suddenly thought, oh, they're finding each other, they're doing the things, they're moving positions, they're moving things around, and like Real Madrid and this particular midfield, to your point, will give you that. So Odegaard's look, what's the kryptonite to what we do? It's those bloody Premier League defenses where you got a 10 fecking oaks standing in the box, and it's not that we won't win, it's just it won't be a great game of great football, and you'll say, oh, we really struggled. Yeah, we did really struggle because they're anti-football. Well, Real Madrid is not anti-football, and Martin won't exactly lack for motivation here, so he'll be up for it. It's
well, all right.
The big debate is did we get the right guy, Odegaard or Ceballos? I know where I stand. We've made that mistake, but we've got to make the most of it now.
You're funny. You're a funny man. No, well, what do you think about that angle of Odegaard having something to prove? I mean, I think this can cut either way. Well, but I mean, against Madrid specifically, right?
Yeah.
So this is where his journey to stardom began. And it didn't work out for him there. He obviously had some really good loan spells, including at Arsenal, Real Sociedad. He comes to Arsenal, where he's now captain. I think this can cut either way. I think there are a lot of players that extra little motivation. I'm now captain of Arsenal Football Club. You guys made a mistake letting me go, and I'm going to prove it. That can bring out the best performance. Sometimes it can lead you to play with something extra in your mind that you don't need to be there. I am personally rooting for Martin Odegaard to score and celebrate. That's one to watch, by the way. If Arsenal's captain does not celebrate scoring a goal against Real Madrid, I'm going to be beside myself. But what do you think about him having something to prove against Real Madrid, where this journey to superstardom sort of started for him, and whether it's too much pressure or just the right amount of motivation?
No, I think it's absolutely on that he'll want to prove something. Look, there's not that much fuss about him. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like Messi goes to PSG and then they're playing. Like, there's a bit of fuss about him. Enough fuss that he doesn't think he's hallucinating. He's absolutely going to want to prove a point. But it's not at such a level of focus that he's a very professional guy. He's very balanced. I think it's going to be fine. I think it's only going to work for him. It's not, the world is not all over this thing, right? It's a question you'd ask in a presser or whatever. It's in his mind. It's got him motivated. He's going to be absolutely psyched, and Real Madrid are going to give him enough space that he's going to be able to play. So I think, like, if he had all of that stress and pressure, but he's not going to have any space to play, then he might go and try to do too much, run all over the pitch, he doesn't need to do that against Real Madrid. He's going to get chances, he's going to get looks, and he's going to get to play football. So it will do him no harm, only good.
Yeah, I am going to throw something up on the screen now that I think will help with our tactical analysis. And I hope you won't mind, because you just put it out there on social media for free. But I'm going to put something up there from Billy Carpenter. And I guess what I will say is, if you don't read Billy Carpenter's Substack, you are really missing out. So go ahead and read Billy Carpenter's Substack, and then, you know, there you go. But as we think about the tactical approach here, Paul, I'm going to throw this up on the screen from Billy Carpenter using Opta and markstats.club and Yscout data. A little bit of a comparison between Arsenal and Real Madrid and some things we can look at. One of the things that I think is interesting is they're a very high possession team, but Paul, that's because they also play in a league where there are a lot of weaker teams than we might expect to see in our league. Not to mention that you have to recognize that our possession stats are impacted by how many times we played with 10 men. The thing that jumps out at me a little bit is the PPDA. And for people who don't know, PPDA is a stat that measures sort of press intensity. At 9.76, we're pretty pressy. At 12.87, they're less pressy. And I'm wondering what you think about that. Are we going to see maybe less possession, less pressing from Real Madrid. Will they stick or twist? What do you expect as we look at some of the data here?
Yeah, I think that's right. What most strikes me about the data is how similar it is across most categories. We cross more than them. They have more through balls than us. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? They lull the opposition.
Well, they've got Kylian Mbappe. You know what I mean? Like, we have Mikel
yeah.
Merino. You do the math.
Yeah. But to your point, the pressing thing, no, why would they change the habit of a lifetime? They don't, like, they do a sort of a press, but they always look like they're only semi-arsed. So I don't think they're going to suddenly decide that the Emirates against Arsenal is the time they come and press us. They always look very comfortable that the time is coming, that they'll have their burst, they'll have the 15 minutes that they will undo you. So yeah, I don't think we're going to be pressed. I think we're going to have a bit of time on the ball. We'll have some possession. We'll get to press them, but they'll get to play through us if we don't keep if people miss their marks, if we press at the wrong times, if we're not confident enough in our pressing. Once they play through you once or twice, then you're like protecting yourself a little bit when you press, and now the worst possible thing is to do an unconfident press that second guesses itself. So
a couple things. By the way, someone's saying, just imagine if Merino scores. I believe Merino scored over Rudiger in the Euros, Spain against Germany this past summer. So we could see a repeat of that for sure. Another thing that jumped out from this data, by the way, we cross more than they do. This gives me a little bit of pause for confidence, which is I think Madrid have a lot of unbelievably talented attackers. I don't think you'd say, Paul, that they have big, strong, physical aerial duel monsters. And if I were going to be nervous about Kivior starting and not having Gabriel, I'd say we're going to miss Gabriel's decisiveness in the aerial duels with the long balls, in the physical challenges. But whatever challenge they pose, and they pose lots of challenges up front, I don't think they pose the challenge of aerial crosses, long ball duels where you have to be big and physical. So I think that's something that might at least ameliorate some of the concerns we might have with availability. Yeah,
I think that's definitely the case. They're going to try to play through us. Well, they're probably going to succeed at times at playing through us. The aerial challenge will come from us. The set piece challenge, at least in terms of corners, will come from us. Unfortunately, we don't have Gabriel, but it seemed like Mourinho has picked up that brief, though nobody does the kind of the drop the shoulder feint shimmy that Gabriel does. We still, even in the last game where we didn't score off a set piece, we still created off a set piece. We created a bit of mayhem, some opportunities, some good shots in crowded areas. So I think set pieces is very much a way for us in this game. Crosses, if we talk about motivation, Marino is going to have that in spades with his Real Madrid. He's faced up to them multiple times in the past. He won't be afraid of them. It'll be a chance for him to shine. His Spanish colleagues off the national team, he'll be hyper motivated to make something happen here. He won't run out of gas, is my prediction.
I'm going to show you one other thing that Billy Carpenter posted, and the one I just showed you I don't think was legible. So I'm going to show you just this because I think this is actually really interesting. And thanks to Billy Carpenter, I know it's slightly blurry because I had to zoom in and crop it. These are things that happen in games that are correlated, follow me, with negative XG for Real Madrid. So in other words, in games where they have struggled, these things are prevalent. In other words, they face, their goalkeeper faces more crosses, right? Average shot distance makes sense. The lower the shot distance, the better the shot you're giving away. But you start to look at this, their take-ons that are tackled, their touches in the defensive third percentage are very correlated with negative outcomes for them. And I would say, as you start to look, attempted long pass rate, Paul, when they attempt to go long more, they tend to be less successful. Okay, Billy Carpenter on the bingo card. You're right. He does great work. Please check out his Substack. But this is where I start to say this could play to us, Paul, if they are going to get pushed back and have to go long more, right?
Yeah.
If they have to shoot from distance more, if they have to do more tackles in their defensive third. These are things that are all associated. If their keeper faces more crosses, they're associated with negative XG. Now, there's a lot of reasons that could be. There's a correlation causation problem with this. But this tells me, go push them back and make them play that way. Make them play long, make them defend in their defensive third, make them face crosses. And the data says if you do that, that has more often correlated with negative outcomes for them. So what do you think of that idea? This data is saying there's an incentive for us to play our football, to do what we do, push them back, and see if we can expose or exploit what this data is telling us.
Here's what I got to say. You're right, Elliot. They're fucked. They're totally fucked.
They're dead. They're done.
They don't like it up them.
Is that what you took from that?
Yeah. Cool. Doomed. Cool. Yeah, obviously, if we get in among them, causation, correlation, that they're pretty close in this case. If they're having to go long, things are not going quite their way, right? Even if they're a little quiet, how they like to get at you is to play through you. If they can't play through you, they got to go long more. And so we're going to have that. If that's how it plays out, that they're playing the kind of game they don't like, then we're playing the kind of game we do like, because that is what we're looking to do here. We're looking to pen them in. We're looking to spend time in the attacking third. When we're at our best in the Premier League, we have the highest touches in the box. We may not have the highest touches in the attacking third, though we'll be in the top three. We'll have the most touches in the box. You can think of Saka and Odegaard getting in there, the quick touches, the moving it around. It's not really where Real Madrid like to spend a lot of their time. So if we're doing those kinds of things, we'll also see the long balls and the facing crosses, right? Because what happens when we get in their area, we start putting them into places where we're generating corners, we're putting in crosses off corners. So that all tallies to the yin and the yang of the other side of our game when it's going well. So I like it. You have me sold. Yeah,
there you go. So everybody who thought this was going to be a tough night, you're done. You're good. Yeah. You're fine. Paul said they don't like it up them. We're totally good.
They don't like them up. Yep.
I'm going to do one thing. Can everybody indulge me just for a second? I know we're
this
here to
whole
talk
bloody
about
podcast is basically set up to indulge you, Elliot. Day in, day out, podcast in, podcast out. So what is it this time?
You make a fair point, but you're going to feel pretty bad when you see what I was actually going with. As of time of recording, we're not recording. So there you go. As of time of broadcast, 77,000 pounds, 1,273 supporters have given to the Arsenal Foundation fundraiser to help children, refugees in Zaatari refugee camp. If you believe in karma, you got 30 minutes to give before kickoff. It couldn't hurt is all I'm saying. I know that's cheeky, but it couldn't hurt. The link is below, justgiving.com/page/AVP 2025. Everyone who gives is entered to win a VIP box ticket to Bournemouth, free drinks, meet Tim, meet Clive, not Paul and I, because we stink. Nobody likes us. We smell bad. Free drinks and live from N5 show participation. So please help us. It's the cause that our club has told us to care about. It's a cause that we are deeply connected to, as I know many of you have become in recent times. And so I think, Paul, I don't want to stay on this long. We're going to go right back to talking about the football. But do you think we should welcome our special guest back onto the show?
I do.
Okay. Well, let's please welcome special guest and Arsenal captain Martin Odegaard.
Hi everyone listening to Arsenal Vision, it's Martin here. Please help us in fundraising for the Arsenal Foundation. You can support by donating via the Arsenal Vision podcast fundraiser. Your support means everything, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Martin. Probably a little close to match time to be joining our live stream, but it's all about content these days, right? You got to give.
There's my second stock falling ruled out now. Can't do that one.
Yeah. Okay, so Paul, I do want to start to get into predictions and thoughts, but can you give me maybe a sub or a change Mikel might make that could influence this game? How do you see the substitutes? And I really specifically wonder about Ethan Nwaneri personally, because I don't know that Bukayo Saka can go 90 minutes. I mean, I think Mikel will try to make him go 90 minutes, but who's the sub you think could have a big impact?
Yeah, I think it's Nwaneri. And the surprise one who could have an impact, I think, is Kieran Tierney.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because you can think of all sorts of scenarios where with 20 minutes to go, he puts on Tierney, regardless whether we're up, we're down, we're holding on, he just changes the dynamic on the left-hand side, and something they won't be used to, some defensive strength, some experience. There's multiple reasons why you'd get Tierney on the pitch, but the most obvious choice to affect this game would be the fact that Saka may not have 95 minutes in him, or maybe we're in a good position in the game and like it's a time to rest him and bring on somebody else who can do an equivalent job in Nwaneri. So, number one, Nwaneri can have a big impact in this game, whether he comes on as a Saka replacement or something kind of left eight-ish or for one of the wingers. Or, you've also got your Trossard, who'll be looking to really make a showing here. So that's probably the most obvious counter to your Nwaneri will be Trossard. But I still think there's a sneaky role for Kieran Tierney to surprise us all. He's had his time in Spain too. He's played Real Madrid. Not that changes too much, but he's a two-way player for us in terms of attack and giving us a different look and getting in crosses and good low crosses too. It's not always floaty crosses. And he brings some speed and pace that he still has. So yeah, at least we have some options off the bench that can make things happen. And of course, Ben White to shake things up a little bit. We can move Timber to another side of the pitch or give him a rest or whatever. So we got some options.
Didn't pick Jimmy Gower, who's going to be heartbroken. But let's just spare a moment, by the way, for Butler Ayedeje and Jimmy Gower. Butler Ayedeje didn't get on in any of the games where we thought we might, but these two guys are on the bench for a Champions League tie against Real Madrid at the Emirates. That's special for them, whatever happens. I think there's a couple of names that jump out for me, and Trossard and Nwaneri would be them. I think what's interesting with Nwaneri is just, maybe the Premier League has watched him enough that they kind of understand, but will the Real Madrid players, will David Alaba have the explosiveness to cut inside? Will they know, will Rudiger know to cover because when he gets on his left, he can unleash a shot? I think 15 or 20 minutes of Ethan Nwaneri against tired legs when we maybe put Madrid under a bit of pressure could be really exciting and potentially devastating. There will obviously be yellow card concerns that we have to watch out for. If you had to pick one of the Madrid players that's on a yellow card to miss out, would it be Vinny? Because for me, I actually think it could be Rudiger. I think central defense is a weakness for them already. And while Vinny is obviously a superstar, they've got plenty of attacking talent. But if Rudiger were to miss a game, boy, oh boy, would that be big.
Yeah. We have some Premier League experience of Rudiger, so maybe we know something about some family member that will set him off, some Chelsea knowledge as well in the dressing room. Look, he's the favorite to do something a little crazy. But look, I think what we'll really see with Rudiger is that maybe he just plays slightly within himself, which, he'll still do Rudiger things, but not.
He's such a shithouser, though. Like, that's the funny thing. I sort of feel like Rudiger doesn't have the ability to play any other way. He's a massive shithouse.
He is, but if it dials him back just a little bit, and it plays into the idea that Real Madrid give you a little space, give you a little time, that Ethan Nwaneri, where he's maybe struggled to kind of live up to the earlier mid-season hype, he's going to get a little more time than he does here against these guys. They'll have done a bit of homework, but nothing that would make them think, oh, we got to stop this guy getting any space. So Odegaard, Saka will have a chance to show their stuff in this game. And Rudiger been a little bit more dialed back because he's like, I don't want to miss the next leg. He may just calculate it back and there's a little more space on that side. So might be the most we get out of it. I think they're going to try and behave. I think they're going to think in their mind they're comfortable enough that they don't need to get yellow cards.
Well, that's an interesting thing. And by the way, you look at this, lost away to Atleti, They did beat City away, but conceded twice, beat Brest away. They beat Atalanta away in a game where they were absolutely monstered. I'm still not sure how that happened. And I think it was 2-0 Atalanta at one point. They got beat handily by Liverpool away, and they lost to Lille away. They have one clean sheet in the Champions League. I think you might be right, Paul. There may be a sense of let's play within ourselves and shadow box this game because we know when we get it back to the Bernabeu, we can win. But I don't know that this Madrid can just do that. I don't know that their program did that. Now, you might say it doesn't matter because all they have to do is punt the ball up the pitch and let Vinny and Mbappe and Jude and Rodrigo chase it. And that's a good enough game plan for most teams. But do you think that maybe if they come to the Emirates with the idea to shadow box a bit, that plays into our hands really nicely, that we stroke the ball around, we start to get comfortable and confident on the ball, and suddenly they find themselves having to do the thing they don't like to do, defend crosses, defend on the edges, because I think Fede Valverde is a good player, and I think he could potentially keep Martinelli quiet. I don't think David Alaba is a shot in the hell of defending Saka if he's on his game.
Yeah, look, I'm not leaning so far into they'll shadow box, they'll try and see it out. Like, I think they'll just do Real Madrid stuff, but we'll have space. It's not so much that they won't try and win it, that they'll just try and play in bursts. They'll try and keep it comfortable. They'll have it'll feel fairly even at different times in the game. They'll have a run where they're attacking and we're defending. I don't think it'll be anything dramatic. It'll just be the sense that, oh, Saka had a bit more space in this game. Odegaard had a bit more space than we're used to. Nwaneri will have a bit more space.
Lowy is on the beers for a long time now. If we get 2 up, we get 6 or 7 up. They get picked off for fun. Well, let me ask you this. He confesses. All right, let me ask you the operative question then. Let's use James's post here as a comment here as a talking point. Paul?
Yeah.
What score line would you need today to have good confidence going back to the Bernabeu? Like if you could script a score line that could happen, but would make you feel pretty confident, what would that scoreline need to be in your mind?
10-0. There's no scoreline that's going to make me very confident.
You're not the first person to say that, by the way.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised to know.
Yeah, I don't see a score that makes you confident. There are scores that change your psychology where you're like, oh, we got to, if we win 3-1 or something like that, you're like, oh, that flips it to the other kind of pressure. 2-1 feels finally balanced. So you go in there knowing you got a real fight on your hand. 3-1, you're starting to protect something there. 4-1, I'm liking 4-1. Look, I'll take my odds at any of those scores, particularly 3-1 or 4-1. You don't turn them down, right? Maybe you go there and you actually do go and be pragmatic. At least you have that choice. So what score makes me feel good? I'll take a 3-1, Elliot. I'm not a greedy man. But
you take a 3-1. Yeah,
but it doesn't make me feel confident when I go there. I just look, you can't help but think that's a good thing.
20 minutes left to donate and get the karma locked in before kickoff. That's all I'm saying. 20 minutes. And you know what I will say, Paul, is that I think that if we get a two goal win in this game, and I want to be clear, I am not suggesting we're getting a 2-goal win in this game, but if we get a 2-goal win in this game, I think this Arsenal team has an ability to shut down shop in a way that most don't. And I think if they have to go chase the game against us and chase 2 goals, I mean, granted, we'd be shutting down shop without Gabriel, but I think I would like us. So I think a 2-goal lead is the trick. Now, that's not to say we couldn't have a draw tonight and win at the Bernabeu. This is a special team, even without the players that we have. But what do you think about that? That I don't think we can afford to play this game to like get it back to the Bernabeu and still be in it. We have to think we can win this game,
We absolutely have to think we can win it. Mikel will see it no other way. And the players, I mean, which one of them wants to go out there and not show their stuff? Urian Timber, he's got the strut. Saliba, he wants to prove points here. Thomas Partey, a little bit of history there. Marino, that's his national league. That's the place he came from. These are the players he plays with on the international scene. Odegaard, Saka wants to play at the highest levels. Who are we sending out there who wants to hide? You could probably come up with maybe a name, but you know, David Raya, everybody. Okay, David Raya is your goalkeeper, but he's going to be a big presence on a day like this in the dressing room, going out to face the kind of, not quite the reigning national team in Spain, because, you know, things happen in their league, but the dominant team, the dominant force from the Spanish league, the guys who like to throw their weight around. So there's nobody here who's going to want to go in this environment and not go and play their best stuff. So should be a great game.
Yeah, and by the way, we'll have an instant reaction live. That will just be for patrons and Apple subscribers, though, at full time. And Clive will be on that one, so you don't want to miss it, because as I've heard, it's going to be his drunkest ever instant reaction. So you wouldn't want to miss that. If you do sign up for Patreon, by the way, use code AVP. You'll get the first month 50% off, which is really cool. We have 92 scouting videos alone on the Patreon. Zubamendi, Cunha, Sesko, Gyökeres 2 or 3 times, Alexander Isak, of course. Everyone we've been linked with, we've scouted. You can watch it, you can listen to it. We do probably 4 extra episodes every week just on Patreon. We'd love to have you there. And we are giving Patreon money to the fundraiser this month. So you're basically supporting the fundraiser by becoming a patron, which we appreciate. And then you can even cancel it if you don't want it after that month. So just a plea to ask you to join up and become part of the great community that we are all a part of already. Anyway, does that make sense? We'll
it does.
Post. It doesn't make sense. Okay, so prediction time. We want to give people enough time to get ready, to get situated, to get seated, to get nervous for the game. So I think we should start going prediction time. Please get your predictions into the chat. Paul, it is time. What do you, not just the scoreline prediction, first give me how you see the game going and what you predict will happen.
I think it's going to be a really good game of football where we get to play our kind of football here. We'll get to press them. We'll get to spend time pinning them in a little bit. We'll be spending time in the attacking third. Saka, Odegaard, going to have fun. But it's going to feel pretty even. And they're going to have times where they're comfortable on the ball, playing up through the middle. And it's going to be very interesting on our left back area of the pitch, where I think they'll try and put a lot of heat. And they often switch the ball to that side. Even before this Arsenal game, they do a lot of their attacking down the right-hand side, more of their attacking down the right-hand side, in fact, interestingly. And so it's going to be a challenging game for us, but pretty open. My prediction, 2-1 to us. And I'm pretty confident that we have a good base there, because we have never lost to Real Madrid.
There it is.
Yeah.
And as you know, history only ever repeats itself.
Yeah. We've rarely played them, but we've never lost to them. So, you know.
Is that true? Do we know that?
Yeah.
True?
Yeah.
We've never lost.
Mikel Arteta was asked. Yep.
Yeah. Well, good. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the stuff I'm supposed to say as a YouTube content creator. We've got 3,682 people watching across multiple platforms. Probably most of you not on YouTube, if I'm being honest. So please go to YouTube and like and subscribe and do all that stuff, because we could use the support. Let me say this. I think this is going to be a bit of a strange game, because I think my instinct is that both defenses will find themselves exploited at times. And then it is just down to who finishes off the chances they make. I think we will make more chances, but I think Madrid will make theirs as well. But I think we will probably have huge love, by the way. Thank you so much. I think we will have the lion's share of possession. And I think we're going to find our way through a dodgy Madrid backline. I really believe we can do that. Now, Courtois being back might help them, but my instinct, I think this is one of those crazy games where there's chances at both ends, and I'm going to go for something bananas. I'm going to say 4-2 to Arsenal.
Jesus.
I think it could
Really?
be one of those things where it's even like 4-1 and they get a late penalty or something that drives us nuts and has us going, oh, we were basically through, but they got the second goal. Are we going to be okay? But I think it's a big night at the Emirates. I think the crowd will be massively up for it. I think that both sides will find themselves exploited defensively at times, but I think we will come through. I think we'll find the goals. We've been very good in Europe. We put 7 past PSV away, admittedly. We put 5 past Sporting. We've had the ability to do it with teams that come to play, with teams that have dodgy backlines, and I think Madrid are very, very vulnerable defensively if you test them. So we'll see. But that could also be, because I've taken a lot of hallucinogenic drugs in the last 45 minutes. So I don't know. Paul, is that what it is, do you think? Is it the ayahuasca? Yeah.
I think it's I think you've lost me. Let's just say that. I don't know if you've lost our audience, but you've lost me. Sounds like fun though. I'd take a 4-2. I think it's going to be 2-1. I got to say 2-1. I'm very drawn to that.
Simon Brown wants to know if you're aware that this is the trap game ahead of Brentford. The inside joke there is that Paul does not know what a trap game is, and he probably
I really don't. I almost understood it. Yeah.
Whatever you believe in, whatever is real to you spiritually or universally or science-wise or religion-wise, whatever you believe in, throw up a prayer or request to that force, to that being, for all good things for Arsenal people tonight on a special night, a night that I hope is one that you remember for a long, long time on a path towards an ultimate, eventual elimination of Real Madrid from the Champions League. I think it is time for this club to go do something special, and I hope we do it tonight. I love every single one of you. I feel connected to every single one of you. I know, Paul, you do as well, and to Tim and to Clive and everybody out there. I hope it is everything that you hope it could be. Whatever it will be behind the team when they go to Madrid. But for tonight, it's a special night for Arsenal Football Club. So we love you, Arsenal. We love everybody watching along with us right now. We'll be back for a live IR for the patrons at full time, and hopefully a very celebratory night. So love you, Paul. Love you, man. And I hope it's a beautiful night for you.
Come on, guys. Up the Arsenal. Here we go.
Absolutely. Come on,
Never
Arsenal.
been beaten by Real Madrid. Here we go.
Enjoy it. And we will talk to you after Arsenal 10, Real Madrid 0.